Hello. So I see first spectator today. Around 6 was live. I tried to explain what happened. Since the winners of each group already, or I don't know, probably somebody. Yes, thanks. Everything is fine for me. So I hope maybe somebody needs to play tie break. I don't know. Okay, so first of all, we'll consider the shortest game from today between Aronian and Dubu. A6, knight of variation, bishop e3, e5, knight b3, bishop e6, f3, knight b7. All of this is theory. Now white has choice between queen d2 or g4. Both is possible, so g4 is alternative. And now one of possibility for black is knight b6. If queen d2, d5. So this is idea of contraplay. If, for example, bishop, queen, for example, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, e takes d5, black has castle. This is idea of contraplay. Rapport against Wojtaszek and so against Dominguez. Aha, they will play tie break. Okay. Let's see the excited games. Okay, we will see all games, not only excited. So here pawn is attacked, and after queen c3, of course, king b8 is coming, and white cannot take bishop because of bishop b4. If queen takes e5, bishop d6, and black has very dangerous initiative here. If play bishop c4, black has idea to play h5 with very good contraplay. Okay, so queen d2 was played, b5. Another theoretical lines are bishop e7 or h5. Also possible. So h5, for example, if knight d5 takes g6 high, and if castle, knight b6 is idea. If queen a5, bishop h6 is quite good position for black. Of course, it's white has many choices, and this variation is not forced for white. But okay, b5 played Dubov, a4, b4, this is well-known theory, bishop e7, rook a4, rook b8, queen d3, rook e8, queen d2, rook b8, and now, okay, according to theory, white is better after knight c1. Variations quite complicated, but white just want to play knight a2 and take the pawn. For example, bishop d8 is possible here, with idea if knight a2 to take on a5 and queen c7. This is quite important trick. And if knight d3, black has knight takes d5. So b3 it's the main move, and according to theory, white is better, also black has counter chances. But okay, so for Aronian draw was totally enough for to qualify in the final. So he made practical decisions. So queen d3, queen d2, repeated moves and draws. It's very understandable. High. Okay, another Sicilian from today's game between Grishchuk and Bakro. It was Rouser system instead of Naidorf. Also, here black can start with a6 as well after queen d2, e6. This move order used Harry Kasparov in his match against Nigel Short, and after castle bishop d7, Short played f4, and Kasparov choose system with h5, bishop h4, g5, f takes g5, knight g4. It's one of possible system. Important to know that if knight takes e4, white is better after queen e1, and after knight f6, knight f5. This variations better for white according to theory. Another very popular line here is b5. Bishop takes f6, g takes f6. Of course, queen takes f6 is bad choice for black because e5, d takes e5, knight takes b5. So g takes f6, and now white has many moves. The most popular move is king b1. So big expert of this line is Croatian grandmaster Zdenko Kožu. Okay, but in the game we have f3, knight takes d4. Of course, it's not necessary for black hurry with knight takes d4. It's possible to play some other moves. For example, b5 is possible, bishop e7 is possible as well. h6 is possible, so black has choice. But knight takes d. For example, my game against Vladimir Kramnik, I played bishop e7. After king b1, I played b5. After bishop f6, I took with bishop. Also, g takes f6 is possible as well. This, rook c8. This is quite standard compensation for the opponent. White has extra pawn, black has two strong bishops, so chances are more or less equal, and my game against Vladimir Kramnik ended with draw. So knight takes d4. Of course, it's, as I explained, was possible bishop e7, and now knight takes d4 is possible, and queen c7 with same position as in the game. But okay, knight takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop e7, king b1. Standard reaction, queen c7. So black is waiting. So if white need to do, yes, I'm fine. So white need to do something in king's flank. So if h4, black has idea to play h6. Now if bishop takes this standard method, can be played, and black has sufficient compensation for the pawn, and if bishop e3, black can just block white pawn, play h5. No, g4. So white wants to have active play in king's slot, but now black played h5, very principal move, because now white cannot save his pawn's chain in king's slots. G takes h5, knight takes h5. Of course, if image this position, rook c8, in which position? After g4, rook c8. Yes, it's possible, but in this case, white can play bishop e3 to prepare g5. So h5 is more concrete than rook c8. So h5 takes. So of course, if image this position without queens, black is much better. If without queens, because pawn structure is much better for black, and f4 square for knight is excellent. But okay, there are queens in the board, and black has king on e7, so things are not so clear, because sometimes white can try to organize attack against black king. Rook g1, natural move. In some variation, knight g3 can be also threat from black side. I don't know how dangerous this just now, but okay, at least something which white need to follow. So rook g1, queen c5, natural move, because as I explained that exchange queens is very good idea for black. So queen d2. So rook is hardly hanging, because of the queen takes d6, white has probably winning attack. Not only problem with king, but also problem with queen after e5, so king cannot go to g6 or f5 because of bishop d3 check. So after king g5, knight e4 is possible, or queen e7 check. So it looks like very, very dangerous for black, so probably even losing for black. Of course, Grandmaster will not play such lines, so instead of taking the rook, Etienne played bishop c6, solid move. Bishop c4, another creative move. Rook g5 looks like very natural move, but after rook g5, e5 is possible, and black has planned to play g6 and knight f4 in the future. Not so clear what should do white in this position. For example, bishop c4 is possible. Queen takes c4 obviously is bad, because queen takes d6 and rook takes c5, but just g6 and knight f4 is prepared. Maybe even immediately knight f4 is possible. I don't know. I'm not sure, because probably this knight e6 is only move. Okay, maybe this is dangerous for black, but who knows? Queen f6, for example, is possible. Okay, it looks like dangerous for black at least. But knight d5 not wins immediately, probably because bishop takes d5, and after e takes d5 also strong. I forget that king have been already on e7, so black cannot make long castle anymore, because king was on a7 and then back. Okay, so g6 is very logical move, and now pawn is protected and black is prepared to knight f4. So, for example, knight d5, bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5. Okay, knight f4, bishop takes b7. I don't know what is this, but okay, maybe black can just defend the pawn somehow. For example, rook b8 and only next move to play knight f4. Or knight f6 if rook g4, for example. Something like this. Complicated position, both has his trumps here. Okay, bishop c4, Grishchuk played immediately. Again, takes the bishop. It's certainly bad idea because after queen takes d6 check, king e8 or king f6, just rook d4 is coming. Black cannot save his queen. So rook a8, solid move. Bishop b3. Okay, I don't know if it's totally necessary. Rook a8, probably g6 is also possible with same ideas. Did you see for black that wins around move 20? Okay, I will see. Okay, I didn't see a game yet, so I will check. So g6 is possible with same idea. If f6, g5, knight f4, but I don't know. After f6, f4 is possible because queen takes c4, queen d6, rook d4. And now bishop e2 is unpleasant threat. So no, if f6, it's hardly good idea for black here. So rook a8 he played. Okay, g6 was possible, and if rook g5, e5, same idea. But maybe Etienne was afraid f4 and white wants to prepare f5 somewhere. Queen c4, still same idea. Queen takes d6, rook d4. So rook a8, now bishop under attack. So bishop b3, g6. So after rook g5, e5 was prepared. So f4, knight f6, rook g5, knight takes e4 here. Knight takes c4. Okay. Let's check. So knight takes e4 only move because after rook takes c5, knight takes d2 with check. So this. I understand the idea. So if rook c5, b takes c5, queen somewhere. And rook takes h2. Okay, you are right, but it's not so obvious. Okay, it's possible, especially if somebody will tell that there is something in this position is possible to find. But during the game, okay, it's possible to find as well, but it's not so standard tactic, at least. So it looks like rook g5 was blunder, so correct move was probably, unfortunately, not rook d1 because knight takes e4 is possible again, utilizing probably knight g1. If and g. Okay, so probably knight g1 is correct idea to prepare f5 or knight d5 in some position unclear what black should do. If knight g4, rook e2, for example, so I don't know how to evaluate this position. For example, if imagine that players are playing blitz, so it's white is better because some threats, so king on e7, so in short, if there is short of time, white is better here, but with normal time, I don't know, probably. But okay, at least not so easy to understand what should do black because knight d5 is threat somehow. If king f8, e5 probably is possible. b5, no, b5, knight d5. So b5, not good idea because not prevent knight d5. So after b5, knight d5, it's something terrible for black. Maybe king f8, it's possible somehow, but I don't know what is this. Now it's stopped at knight d5. If e5, black has knight e8, but now f5, it's necessary to check. If, for example, to take twice on f5, rook f5 is coming, and might still have some unpleasant threats. So after rook g1, it's interesting positions, mutual chances, and I don't know exactly what black should play. Okay, probably something like this. It's possible to consider this idea. If knight d5, just take. After e takes d5, king f8. After dc, bc. Now rook on h5, it's well placed because it's stopped at f5. But maybe f5 is possible. If rook takes f5, queen h6 checks. So rook takes f5 is losing, queen takes f5, rook f1. So f5 is maybe still strong. So rook g1 was, okay, certainly better than rook g5 if rook g5 just losing moves. But Grishchuk playing the same plan, but okay, knight takes e4, Etienne missed it. And Grishchuk missed it as well because he played rook g5. So queen b6, blunder, rook e7. So same plan in action. And now knight e4 is threat for black, but white on move. So queen d4, d5. It looks like white is better because white king is much more safe than black ones. White is pawn down, but black has eternal problem with his open king. Now, same material. Bishop d5. Okay, I don't know if they are still playing or they already finished it. Because I just took games from that week, so what happened at the end? This position white is better, but I don't know if it's real chances for win. White is better because black king is open and white king. They played, okay. Okay, if they are still playing, we will consider another game. One of them. So Aronyan Dubov I showed you. Yesipenko Nakamura. D3, knight f6, a4. Sasha won. Okay. Congratulations to Sasha. a6, castle, d6, a5. So, standard idea, but for example, now black even consider unusual move bishop b4. Immediately attack the opponent, invite for exchange bishop. This castle. Something like this. And if not bishop b2, black is ready to take on a5. Okay. Maybe bishop d5 is possible also. I don't know. Protect pawn a5 by this unusual way. And for example, after this knight e7, d4, black has some problem with his bishop on b4. If e takes d4, queen takes d4, and g7 is hanging. Okay, so maybe bishop d5 is possible. White's idea to play c3. Maybe this. Okay, so Nakamura played to bishop a7, solid move. c3, castle, h3, h6, standard knight, bishop e3, white inviting to exchange bishops, and they want to open f line and then start attack with queen e1, knight h4, something like this, after bishop e3. For example, knight e7, knight h4 is possible. Queen e1, queen g3 is planned somewhere, rook takes f6. Okay, not so clear what is d5 here, but okay, takes, for example, knight takes, queen e1, something like this. So maybe white is slightly better. Okay, so, but after bishop e3, Nakamura is agree for exchange of bishop, but without opening f line. So he played rook e8 to prepare bishop e6 and take with rook, not with pawn, but queen b3. So very concrete idea. So now bishop e6, it's not possible because takes, queen takes b7, like just losing pawn. So queen is knight bd2 and rook b8. Rook b8 is quite provocative move because after bishop takes a7, knight takes a7, one white can take on a6. So, but it is hardly, it was oversight from Nakamura. Of course, take the bishops, it is not possible because yes, d5 after queen takes b7. Yes, I see bishop takes h3, but I just want to explain now that now, of course, queen b3 simple move is possible, but even after queen e8, probably black has no idea to utilize strange white queen. But of course, queen b3, it's much more simple. So after queen takes b7, analyze d5. Which position? Here d5. Okay, it's possible to analyze this, but anyway, bishop takes a7, for example. Rook takes a7, queen b3, takes on e4, takes on e4, knight takes e4, queen c4, for example, looks like a better structure for white, and probably white is better. Also, maybe black has contraplay after knight f6, so it's quite complicated. Maybe knight f6, maybe it's not so bad for black at all, because e4 is coming. So, okay, so yes, there is some contraplay after d5, but what else? What else can do white? So, knight bd2 is dangerous, of course, but who knows also. It's possible to check simply this move. For example, bishop e3, f takes e3, if rook b8, if rook a7, queen b3, if rook b8, queen takes a6. If knight b4, for example, this is possible. I don't know what is this, but it looks like probably better for white because a6 is coming. Okay, I don't know if this is totally force in line after knight bd2. Probably black has some other ideas here. For example, probably they can take and rook b8 and rook takes b2. Okay. But very complicated. Rook if d1, okay, maybe it's good for black because always knight d4 or knight b4. So yes, but of course to go there, it require very cute calculation. And also, for example, here white has no obligation to take on b7. It's totally possible. For example, simply take on a7. Black should take with rook because if they take with knight, queen takes b7 is possible. And just play something like this and play this standard position slightly better for white, probably. Or immediately after bishop e6, it's possible to play knight bd2. Here knight bd2 is possible to play, or here it's possible to play knight bd2. So white has no obligation to take immediate. Also necessary to calculate queen takes b7 without bishop takes e6. I don't know how strong it is, however, because this queen d7 is possible with threat rook b8, if queen b3, if this black will take on e4. But okay, so white has at least some solid alternatives like bishop a7 and knight bd2. But black need to calculate also take b7. It's far from obvious. So Nakamura played rook b8. So instead of bishop e6, queen d7. Now rook b8. So if bishop a6, certainly bishop takes h3 was prepared, but it's not so easy to understand what is this. So white can play just bishop c4, play this position. So very unusual pawn exchange. Okay, now white king. It's more or less weak, but I don't know if black can really utilize this factor. If white will play on the center, for example, if bishop g4, take b7. Take b7 here. Take b7, yes, I want to consider this as well, but I don't know how strong it is. For example, bishop e6. And what queen b4, obviously impossible because c5, so white has choice c4 or knight c4. But for example, if c4, black has even c5, probably a6 also. If bishop c8, queen b6 is possible. Okay, so what else black has? Maybe knight d7 is possible. This idea knight c5. So a6 looks like more or less forced, knight c5. Probably black is okay. Okay, what engines saying, of course, probably I need respect, but I don't using engine, and I see, okay, some complicated position after queen somewhere, queen c3 or queen a3, if knight b7, a takes b7, rook takes b7, b4, and I don't know what is this. Who is better here? Maybe even white is better because for white it's more easy to play in queen's flank. For black it's not easy to organize real attack in king's flank because his knight is very far from f4 square. Okay, so bishop takes b7 was principal, but of course it's risky business for white. Somewhere even necessary to consider ideas like bishop takes g2 and knight h5. Okay, very likely this is incorrect for white, but okay, at least in practical game can give incorrect for black, but can give. I am not understand. What can I do for you? Knight b6. Yes, I have YouTube channel, so all this video from here later appear in YouTube channel. Knight b6 on move 24 instead of c6. In the game, but move 24, you mean here? Bishop takes f5. Move 36. 26. Okay, so okay, I will remember about move 26. So, okay, bishop a6 leads to very interesting game. After bishop takes h3, and probably white is slightly better, but difficult to say without deep analysis. So, Yesipenko preferred d4, natural move, knight c6, rook f e1, another solid move. Okay, black could play bishop d7 probably to prepare bishop d5, but probably this was not so clear for Nakamura, and then bishop takes e8. What Andrei Isipenko. So knight c6, yes, maybe good move. Rook f e1. Again, d5 is possible to consider, and then bishop takes a6 after. So if knight d8, bishop takes a6, white is pawn up. So if knight a7, probably now even stronger, bishop takes a6. And after bishop takes h3, bishop takes b7 and a6. Yes, interesting moment. I don't know why Andrei didn't play this. Probably he afraid something here, but I don't know what exactly he could afraid here. Looks like quite obviously better for white. So with pawn on d3 not so clear, but with pawn on d5 and okay, knight d8, but bishop takes a6. So very strange moment, but okay, he played rook f e1. Bishop d7. Now it's white has no any serious threats anymore. d5, knight a7. Of course, knight d8 looks better because of b takes a6. Sorry. B takes a6 and knight b5. But what is this? Let's see. Bishop h3, queen b7, bishop c8, queen c6. Looks like just bad for black. Okay, so d5, knight a7. Of course, from positional reasons, looks knight d8 looks better, but after knight d8, bishop takes a6 is possible. So because of this, he played knight a7. Bishop f1, knight h7, c4. So more pleasant position for white anyway, because they have plan. Okay, so plus 5, but this not explain me nothing. Okay, I understand that white is better positionally. I understand plans, but for example, what is difference between plus 5 or plus 4.5? I don't understand. Space difference, yes, I understand this. d4, queen f5. Okay, so King's Indian or Bogo Indian structure. F4, and now knight b6 somebody proposed. Creative. Equalize, okay. Only move, not lose, but Nakamura didn't lose the game. Okay, knight b6. I don't know if it's totally equalized, but okay, it's a really interesting trick. Probably it's enough for draw. Anyway, it looks like quite slightly better, but probably not enough. Okay, so c6 played Nakamura. Probably he didn't see knight b6. Probably he was afraid something after knight b6. I don't know. For example, knight e6, knight takes c4, queen somewhere, b5 only move. Okay, knight b6, knight e6, knight takes c4, queen somewhere, only move b5. And yes, and white has no time to play rook a3, rook g3 because e takes f4 is threat. If a takes b6, knight takes b6, and pawn d5 is hanging. Okay, so very nice trick, I agree, but he played c6. F takes e5. Of course, d takes c6. It's another interesting option. It looks like good for white. If queen takes c4, for example, rook ac1 and then c7 is coming, knight f5, so position looks like very promising for white. For example, this c7, knight f5, for example, so looks very, very dangerous for black. Okay, probably black has something else here, but what exactly? Something like knight a7 probably. Idea it takes d4, and if knight will move, so knight takes c6, probably this was idea of Nakamura. But knight f5, queen takes f5, queen takes a7. Anyway, it's interesting. B takes c6, queen takes a6, and then take on c6. Okay, probably black has draw chances, but dangerous. But okay, so f takes e5 took c takes d5, e6, queen g6. And he played rook. Instead e6, queen g3. Why queen g3 is stronger? Okay. Okay, queen g3. Idea is to control g6 square and prepare rook f1. For example, if d takes c4, I think, I don't know, maybe rook f1. If queen d5, knight f5, something like this. Queen takes e5, queen takes e5, and now white has choice. If rook e1, queen takes g3, rook takes e8, king f7. And white has nothing, because after knight takes d6, king g6. But white has queen g6 now. This looks like pretty unpleasant for black. But okay, after knight e7, knight takes h6, knight f7, and knight takes e5. And queen is protected, and white is piece up. Yes, queen g3, it's interesting. So idea just prepare rook f1 or utilize bad position of rook in b8 after d takes e5. Now, okay, now also rook f1 is interesting and then knight f5, but probably rook takes e5 is possible. Okay, I don't know, is it over? So, of course, it's extremely dangerous for black, but it's difficult to be sure that this is winning. Okay, maybe, but e6 also tempting to play. Okay, so plus 4 and 5, but okay, so e6, queen g6. So what we have now? So white can take on d5, but after this knight e7 and it's very difficult or maybe even impossible to defend pawn d5. So black has chances to survive. Now, of course, white is always better. For example, it's possible something like queen d2, and if knight takes d5, knight f3 with idea to take on d6 if knight is moving. If knight c7, probably e7 I can consider. Anyway, it looks like dangerous position for white, but it's difficult to say is it winning or just better. But you have a proposition to play c5, also logical idea. Yes. Yes, also logical idea. White is much better again, but probably DC, BC, rook is knight e7, rook a b1. Okay, agree. Rook f1. Okay, so knight e7, rook f7, d takes c4. So now black has even pawn up, and white has no serious threats. Knight c6. So rook g3, queen takes f7 is possible. It's important. So probably Andrei missed this before, not here, of course. And now knight e5, only move. So because if imagine that black has no knight e5, black is just losing. Knight c6 was blunder. Aha, knight d5, only move. Okay. So knight d5 was only move. Okay, but what is idea if, for example, queen f2? Rook g3, it's very unpleasant threat. So queen e4. Okay, but what? Queen e4? And if rook g3? Only move. Okay, so, but what to do? So, g5, rook g8. Okay, but from here, probably you are using engine, because from human reason, this looks like it can be just losing, or at least very, very dangerous after rook g8, rook g4, for example. Okay, so maybe with some number of only moves, black can hold it somehow. But okay, so after knight c6, why this is so bad? So knight c6 is logical because he prevent rook g3. So white took on c6. Don't know if they has something else. Rook g3 not possible, and knight c6 plus 6. Okay, so and but what to do with this plus 6? The question. So pawn is hanging. So Andrei played e7. Probably there is something else. I don't know. But pawn is hanging. So e7. It's the most natural move, at least. Queen a7 it's possible to consider, but rook a8 and not not easy to understand what is this. Because, for example, after this rook f8, important that black will not take. So after take and white is winning. But important that king h7 immediately is possible. And after rook takes, queen takes e6. After e7, queen e4. So okay, maybe c3. Okay, so e7 he played. Very logical move. Rook f8 he prepared. So, and keep his pawn. So king h7. New Minister of Defense, but of United Defense of United States or Japan, which country he will be minister. Okay, so he played Queen f4, another very natural move. He defended rook and preparing rook g3. Okay, maybe Queen f2 also was possible, so white has choice. Queen f2 is interesting to keep option of chess. Okay, so Queen f2 is interesting in my opinion. The same idea to prepare rook g3, but to keep option also rook f6. Best move. Okay, for you everything is clear. For me, nothing is clear. Aha, also winning. Thank you. So, okay, so you can give you lesson and I need to be your pupil because you understand everything. I'm just trying to understand something. Rook f8 if winning directly. Rook f8 another possible move, of course, but okay, what should play black? Not easy question. Rook b7 is that move. Just trying to think. No, queen g5, queen e4 check. So rook b7 I want to play because my idea is to attack pawn. If, for example, rook takes, queen e4, I want to play g6 and attack pawn e7. And if rook e3, c3 is coming. So it's not clear for me. Oh, rook f7 here. No, rook f7 not possible because I can just take. So after g6, after g6, rook f7. Okay, I missed this. Yes, this is strong. I agree. Okay, so maybe. So queen f4, queen f2, rook f8. So okay, was strong, but he played queen f4. According to you, it's winning move, rook g8, and he played rook g3. I don't know if it's necessary. From practical point of view, queen takes c4 looks like a good idea. Just eliminate strong passed pawn and attack pawns a6 and c6. It was the best. Okay, so thanks for your confirmations. Okay, so rook g3 is not the best according to you. If queen takes c4 was the best. Queen e6, rook g. Now rook f8, rook e8, queen takes. Okay, so what is this? Anyway, if queen takes c6, rook takes e7, and if white is taking and taking on a6, black has queen e1 check, and then queen takes b4, and probably queen b4. Queen e3 check as well, it's possible. So, okay, so this is move 41. So Andrei has time to think, and he went to queen's endgame. Possible to consider idea to play with rook. Why he have to take on g8 here? Why he have to take on g8? I don't know. But what is alternatives? He wanted to take pawn c4. Okay, probably there are some alternatives, but which one? If yes, but he took the pawn. But so he took on g8 with idea to take on c4. Of course, it's possible to take on e8 and then to take on c4 as well. So, rook f7, but okay, if maybe this is a good idea, rook g3. But okay, but some moves before rook was on f7, so it's psychologically very difficult to play rook f8 and then come back. Okay, even if this is the best move, so at least understandable. So, especially if move 39, probably Andrei was short of time, so it's understandable decision at least. But now I have feelings that white need to play with rooks. So, for example, by intuition, looks like queen takes c6 is the best, and rook somewhere, rook f3, something like this. And it looks like still chances for win, but maybe not enough. Queen e6, and then queen e1, queen takes b4. Yes, maybe black has good chances to draw. Maybe. Okay, so he took on a6, rook e7, queen e6. Queen e6 is possible. Interesting. According to Stockfish was killing. So it was move 41. So Andrei could find this. He had time to think. Probably for him not was not so clear if rook ending is winning. For example, this for Stockfish probably clear, but for human people, and for example for me, it's not totally clear. Okay, white has chances, but after rook c4, but I cannot assert that this is winning. Okay, so I can only explain that white has good winning chances after rook c4, or maybe also after rook g6, but okay, maybe rook g6 this winning, because I want to take on g7, and if black defend, rook b6 is coming. So rook g6 maybe. Yes, okay, so queen e6, really nice move. And yes, also white has queen e2 as well. Take on a6, yes, take on a6, yes, it's theoretical draw in this position. So if rook takes a6 is blunder, but rook g6 looks like winning way. Rook b6 immediately, of course, not possible, because black can take and king d6, but rook g6, and now if take, I will take and then attack pawn from a7. If black defending pawn. Now rook b6, it's winning. Yes, queen e4, queen e2 also. Yes, so white could save e7 pawn with... okay, so, but Andrei took, probably he thought that this is winning as well. And that's true that white has good winning chances. For example, even queen c4 is possible. If, for example, d5, queen d4, and queen e1, king h2, and then a6. But okay, this is chances. Queen e2, for example, it's possible. It's not clear. Okay, so queen takes c6, check, check, queen takes b4. And now, yes, Nakamura safe. Even this looks like quite dangerous for black. So I don't know what is the reason for h4. Much more natural looks king g2, d5, king f3 to try to improve king as soon as possible. I don't know if it's winning or not, but still some chances. Queen before queen takes c6. Queen c8 check. Okay, maybe queen c8 check was more precise. Yes, it's clearly white still have winning chances, but not so easy to play precise in such position. And Andrei didn't manage this. Queen e2, queen now d4. So he lost the tempo with king f3. So if he match king on f3 now, after d4, white has king e4 and probably winning. But now d pawn, suddenly it's strong. Okay, so it's Yesipenko had excellent chances, but Nakamura defended well. And okay, so after some mistakes of opponent, he made a draw and qualified to the final. Okay, so what else we have? Dominguez won against Shiro, h6. Okay, it's a playable line, but less popular than bishop c5 here or bishop e7. So h6, castle, d6. So this is idea, c3 and g6. Now it's modern attempt. So old attempt in this position was g6. G5 is modern idea. It's how I feel myself today. I am fine, thank you. And you? So G6 was, for example, in the 1980s, 1990s, almost everybody played G6. Thank you. But then in 2000s, probably in 2010, something like this, Rapport started to play G5s, and everybody, almost everybody, after Rapport playing G5. I don't know what is. In my opinion, it's more or less equal choice, G6 or G5. Okay, G5 is more sharp, G6 is more solid. Personally, I played only G6 here with black. With white, I don't remember if I have this position in my own practice. So after G5, surely I haven't, but after G6, okay, something very similar was in my game against against Aronian in Stepanakert, but maybe I won but probably it was some Spanish variation or just this variation. So g6, bishop g7 was played. Probably it was game against Aronian, but I'm not totally sure about move order. Okay, so g6 is alternative, but g5 played Shiro. Bishop b3, okay, standard move. Now it's c4 square, it's free for white knight, and after knight a5, white is prepared for bishop c2, or at the moment bishop a4 checks can be also considered, so flexible move. g4, of course black can place something else, for example castle. g4, h5, Shirov trying to play active, but white started attack against f7. Rook takes f4, so white has more clear plan, and bishop on g7, it's okay, fire, but maybe I agree that this is fire, but I prefer white pieces because bishop on g7 it's not active against pawn on c3, knight on c6 it's not active. So knight on f6 need to only defend f7, and white has more active pieces and clear plan to attack against f7 to improve knight via c2, e3. So without deep analysis, okay, it looks like white should be better. But okay, so probably there are some. What do you think about Wojtaszek? Yes, okay, he's a strong and solid player. Yes, I don't think that he's really weaker than Duda. Okay, so okay, they are more or less same level. Okay, during last time Duda has a little bit better results, but for example in Vaikanzei Duda didn't play it well. So okay, it can be changed. So Poland has two very strong players, Wojtaszek and Duda. I agree. Okay, so d5 played Shiro. So now, okay, very tempting for white looks to play d4. I don't know why Dominguez didn't play this. It looks like very logical to prepare e5. And okay, probably bishop h6. It's only explanation. But after bishop h6, even this idea can be considered. Surely white has strong compensation in King's Gambit style. Of course, it's much more easy to make sacrificing if this is not my own pieces, this I understand, but it's quite standard ideas. But so d4 was very logical, probably very strong as well, but Dominguez played rook f1, very solid move, idea just to avoid bishop h6. So he considered bishop h6 like threat and played rook f1. Okay, it's practical decision. So this is not only art, so more if consider chess just like art, d4 it looks more aesthetic for me, but rook f1 it's practical decision. So we need to respect good sportsmen too. Sochko who beat Carlsen. Okay, so okay, many players beat Carlsen. Okay, Sochko is a good player as well, but during last time he has no such strong results like Wojtaszek and Duda. But of course he is a very good grandmaster. Rook f1, bishop e6. Okay, after d takes e4, knight takes e4. If knight takes e4, bishop takes f7. It's possible. And after I think it is to reach. Okay, so queen e2. This is problem. This looks terrible. Dink is Dink. Okay, Dink is strong player, but in candidated tournament he didn't play it very well. Okay, probably because of some reasons not connected directly with chess. I mean, some quarantines or something like this. Okay, so the d takes e4 line, it's not playable for black because obvious problem with f7 square. So bishop e6 and now d4 takes on e4 queen. No, Dominguez played simple and strong. So and black has pawn up, but actually I don't see any good piece from black here. So excellent version of King's Gambit. I mean, something like this, Kizaritsky Gambit, something like this. Knight f6, d4, d6, this. So if compare this position with position what have Dominguez, so it's very big difference in favor of Dominguez. So d takes e4, queen e2, and also black cannot defend the pawn. So even if they can, for example, if bishop b3, a takes b3, or knight takes b3, it's good as well. This idea knight c5 or bishop g5, or just this, if queen e7, for example, knight c2 and then knight e3. So I don't see anything good in black's position. So only pawn up, but where will go king and what to do with pieces. So queen d7, knight takes e4. Yes, so okay, now bishop takes b3 played because rook d8 immediately d5 is coming. This is problem for black. So if rook h8, even queen h7 necessary to consider. I'm not sure that queen h7 is the best move for white, but it's like possible option. It can be considered. Of course, maybe also bishop takes e6, rook takes e6, queen f5, like idea. Yes, but yes, black has many weaknesses, but there is some contraplay as well. Rook e2, for example, if knight e3, knight takes d4, necessary to consider. So white need to be accurate. Okay, maybe this doesn't work for some reason, or maybe it works. Who knows? Okay, this position looks promising for black, but okay, so rook h e8 natural move, but okay, after rook e2 probably, yes, now it's okay, so maybe queen h7, maybe this is true, I don't know. So queen h7, maybe, who knows, because this is a very concrete move. I want to attack bishop, and in some variation I am preparing bishop g5, but okay, we can consider something like this, takes, rook e2, and at the moment bishop g5, queen d5, it's possible with a double attack. If queen takes g7, rook takes c2, rook takes f7, okay, queen d5, unfortunately not possible for black, because rook c7, rook b7, and this is mate. But if queen d6, bishop f4, and white winning, yes. Knight e3 perhaps strong, but okay, why not queen takes? Perhaps knight e3 is strong, but often, but why not queen takes g7? If queen takes g7, just winning. So white, why I need to consider knight e3? or maybe for example, if this black can try rook e8, but bishop f4, and okay, rook e7 it's possible, but white is pawn up, and queen d5 of course doesn't work because this queen c7 mates. So probably because of some of this variation, Shirov took and played this. So he kept the rook on here, but now Queen f5 Domin has played, and big difference. So for example, after here Queen f5, Rook e2. Bishop was queen was defended by rook, and for example after this black can take with rook to defend the pawn, and after knight e3 knight takes d4, and now black has probably even winning position. Yes, this is even winning for black, but now it's not the same story, because after queen f5, now after rook takes, after rook e2, white can take and take with check, and then take on g7 with winning. Queen d3 is better for black instead of queen e5. Okay, maybe better, but after queen d, if knight e5, queen d1, you mean? Knight e5 maybe. But okay, just queen d1 is possible. My idea was queen f5, knight f3, of course, and rook takes a7 doesn't work as well because of king b8. Okay, so at the moment I need to make 10 minutes break, and I will come back soon. So I'm here again. And is that everything okay? I hope if everybody works fine, good. So after queen d3, knight e5, okay, queen d1, it's good option for white. Knight is hanging and a7 pawn is hanging as well, so knight c6 may be only a move, and now position is much better for white. Maybe after bishop f4. Knight e3, it also looks tempting, but after knight e3, knight takes d4 necessary to calculate. I don't know if it works or not, but so practically probably. King h1, okay, but it's still play, but white is better. So queen f5. Played Dominguez, another natural move. So white wants to play better endgame. This is a very understandable solution. Queen takes f5, rook takes f5, f6, bishop f4. White is preparing knight e3. Oh, if knight e7, rook a5 is possible. Or rook c5, or rook c5 is much better. Knight e7 is the bet because rook c5 and after c6 rook takes a7. So probably better for black was to play b6 somehow, to prepare knight e7, to create some problem for white rook. And, okay, white is better, but black can play this. If, for example, bishop g3, king b7, something like this, so black has chances to survive. Rook e2 played. It's a little bit over-optimistic. So b6, if now knight e3, now even knight e7 is possible. Okay, knight a7, rook takes a7. Okay, king b7, solid move. And if knight d5, knight e7, at least black can fight. Looks better for white, maybe rook d5 it's possible, but nothing forcing. But Shiro played rook e2, rook takes b2 and b4. And now b5 is threat, so if knight e7, rook takes rook c5, so he played b6, but it's too late because now white is attacking pawn c7 and black has no rook on e8 to play knight e7. h4 he plays, so looks like by intuition, for example, if you imagine that this is blitz, I would play rook e8 and then rook e2. So maybe this is bad, but it looks like the most logical idea for me. But okay, it's not necessary that it works. Probably white is just winning after this. Okay, h1. So their threats just much stronger. So h4, rook e1. So it's in football there is such a word like offside. So now it means that rook on b2 it's a little bit like in offside. So all white pieces are coordinated very well. So black, it's hardly I can say that black is well coordinated, and even b5 is a threat in some variation. Yes, right. After rook takes b5, knight e7, but also knight takes c7, bishop takes c7, rook e6 can be considered like threats. So h3 and now bishop g3. So very cute play of Dominguez, somehow in Karpov style. Knight e7 and black is totally losing because if king b7, knight takes c6 and rook c5 is coming, so rook e7, rook g3. Finita. Dominguez won, and and tomorrow he will play important match against Wesley So for qualification. Okay. Vidit against Keimer. c4. Very unusual move. Opening bishop c5 and bishop e7. As I remember that Carlsen, не помнишь, was something like e5. Knight, okay, now b4 is possible. Okay, maybe not e5. So, it was something like castle, knight b3, bishop e7, e3, this, knight g4, bishop c5, something like this. This is game не помнящий Carlsen, if I remember correctly. Everybody can hear me well, right? I hope so, at least. But so bishop c5 and bishop e7, it's something very deep, and at least for me. So, and now, of course, white has many ideas. A quite standard plan here is knight e1 and then knight c2 and then rook b1, a3, b4. So it's totally possible, but Vidit is playing same as Nepomniachtchi. b6. So I don't remember what exactly played Carlsen, but b6 was not played because somewhere bishop took on b7 and after c6 the bishop was trapped. Okay, knight e4, bishop b7. So I need to check what was in Nepomniachtchi Carlsen. Okay, at the moment, what I see, okay, slightly better for white, maybe. Okay, knight e5. Also, queen d2 is possible to prepare rook a d1. Totally logical move. Or queen d3 with the same idea. So white has choice. Knight e5 played with it. Yes. Okay, slightly better for white. Nothing special because many pieces already changed. Bishops are changed, and somewhere black can also change some knights after knight g6 or after knight d7. Well, not immediately knight g6, of course, because c6 pawn is hanging. But now he protected. In some moment, knight g6 can be ideal. Queen f3. So white is fighting with knight g6 because now pawn c6 is hanging again. But rook d6, accurate play, and knight g6 now. So after c5, knight takes e5 is possible. And after c takes d6, knight takes f3, rook e1 is attacked. So I will illustrate this. Knight takes f3, knight takes c1, and then rook c8. And white is losing c7 pawns. So if d takes e5, rook takes d1 is possible, and then take on e5. If rook taken on knight d5, so it's not promising for white. So knight g6. It's question if b4 was correct idea. If c5 doesn't work, I don't know. But Okay, for example, here also queen e2 is possible to consider if knight g6, knight f3, just to play this position. So to have f3 square, avoid exchange. Okay, maybe nothing special, but white is slightly better, for example, here. And then to play slowly, rook d2, rook e d1. Of course, after knight h5, not allow knight f4, but play king g1, something like this. c5, it's always questionable because d5 or even c takes d4, knight takes d4, in some moment the structure can be better for white because they have extra pawn in queen's flank. It can be more important than extra pawn in king's flank for black. Okay, so but we did this plan in concrete way before b5, so it's not only attack but also prophylactics. He not allow knight g6, but a6 came play in concrete reason. If b takes a6, queen a7, I think it's prepared. Of course, not rook a8 because knight b5. Although knight e4 is strong as well. Okay, so after b takes a6, queen a8 is idea of black, and white has no possibility to defend his pawn, and probably black can try to equalize it. If, for example, g4, g5, black has contraplay with knight f5, for example. It's not so clear. King h3, for example, is possible. If knight d7, knight takes c6, but okay, c4 is hanging after knight takes c6. Okay, so it's something sharp. So g4, g5 has advantages, but also disadvantages. Double edge solution. Okay, so a4 played with it. Takes. He's trying to make pressure to black position. Now b takes c6 and knight b5 is direct threat, but queen c8. So Kamer trying to defend his position. And after g4, okay, g4 is possible. But after g4, even rook d8 not possible because knight e4. Black has problem with f7. So c takes b5, maybe knight takes b5. Rook d8, and now, okay, if g5, knight f5 is possible, but white can do something, some normal move, I don't know which move. Somewhere also knight g6 is idea. Okay, probably h5 is possible to prevent knight g6 and just play for domination. And now both h6 is threat in some variation. Both knights, if knight d7, yes, okay, h6 is possible, but now white can play something healthy. Maybe even rook a1 is possible to consider this idea, rook a7. So white is better. It's only question how much is better. So he played this h5. He played. But so he played h5. So how it was the game? So ab, queen c8. He played immediately h5. And I considered g4. So g4 is alternative, but he played immediately. Okay, maybe g4 is more precise to force c takes b5. Because after h5... okay, but after h5, h6, g4, Kaber played knight d7. So probably after g4 he can try knight d7 as well. But Question how strong. Okay, maybe it's possible. Because if knight e4, knight takes e5, d takes e5, rook takes d1, and then c takes b5. Probably a defensive idea. Knight d7. So is it possible for white somehow to stop? Maybe interesting move. And before something very sharp, but okay, who knows? Knight takes b5, solid move. Rook d8. No, just like so. It's a reasonable idea to consider this, but it's very sharp. But okay, rook is attacked, so what black should play? If queen c6, I have d5. I hope. Also, okay, let's try to see. d5, knight takes d5. Because queen takes d6, knight f4, and queen g2 mate. So knight takes d5, c takes d5, knight takes d5. And probably everything is okay for black suddenly. Also, knight h6 somewhere, g takes h6, queen g4, king h8. What's this? Okay, let's try, for example. After knight takes d5, also rook takes f7 is possible. Queen takes d6. So rook takes f7 not possible because queen takes d6 and knight f6 check. So rook takes d5 and now maybe knight h6. G takes h6 and my idea was queen g4 and okay, queen g4. So it's if king h8, probably rook takes e6. Okay, rook takes e6, rook d6. Okay, so something very complicated. Rook takes e6. If rook d6, rook e4 only move, but okay, so it doesn't look like promising for white. Okay, so if white has something better here, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe black is just good here suddenly. But who knows? Okay, for example, knight h6, queen g4 check, and knight e4 maybe. And this is not so clear, because if knight f6, rook takes d6 is coming. And white, okay, probably white has no special threats, but maybe queen h5 or just king g1, so black 2 pawns up, but structure. Okay, so white has compensation, but okay, it's not forcing variation, but just good illustration of possibilities. So they simplifies. Queen b7. Repeat moves. Rook a1, knight f6. If rook a7, queen c8. White has weakness on c4. Rook e5, knight h7. So knight g5 is a pleasant threat. Exchange it. So white has better endgame, but knight e8. So black is dreaming to play knight c7 or knight d6, go to rook endgame, which according to Tartakover never possible to win. Okay, Vidit still trying to make some pressure, but Kamer. Knight h7 looks like tempo lost, but knight h7 was knight g5's threat. Of course, white could play something like king g1 and if knight g5, queen g2, so it was possible, but I don't know how strong it is. So we did decide to force exchanges, but it's still better somehow, but probably not so much better. Even now, for example, rook b7 is possible. I'm not sure that this is so easy draw. For example, why not to play rook b7? Okay, maybe just rook c6. Nothing special. Difficult to reach progress. But okay, if knight b4, for example. If rook d6, my idea to take. If knight takes, I will take on b6. If rook takes, knight d5, and then take the pawn. But okay, knight f6. It's probably enough for draw. If rook b6 takes, then knight take g2, g4. It should be draw. After c5, king e7. Okay, so after this, they agreed to draw. Okay, so we did had some advantage during the game, but probably somewhere missed better possibilities. Rook h7 perhaps as well. Rook h7, rook h7. Here rook h7. Okay, it's possible rook h7, but maybe. Instead of rook b7, rook h7. Yes, why not? Yes, it looks logical. Good question why he don't play rook h7. It's a concrete move. Okay, so maybe might still have some chances, but we didn't realize them. Okay, what else we have today? Fedosеев report, creative game, so knight c6. Instead, against g3, black has system this, which was in famous game Kramnik-Francinet, and Rapport was second of Francinet. But Kramnik didn't play actually bishop g2, so Kramnik played something like c3 or knight bd2, but not bishop g2 was played. But the idea queen d7 and then castle. Another idea which Alexander Morozevich played is bishop f5 after bishop g2, knight b4, knight a3, a6, something like this. c3, knight a6, or knight c6 as well as possible. Okay, c4, bishop g4, it's classical variation of Chigorin defense. White has many possibilities, for example. This played Gelfand and Kramnik against me. So bishop g4, bishop f4, it's another possibility for white. Bishop g4, e6, so I played this line with black also in some blitz games. Knight a5, very original. More natural looks something like knight e7 here. Knight a5, knight a7. Queen a3, a6, bishop d3, b5. So very creative plays. Black wants to play knight. If b4, knight c4 probably. Also knight c6, although it's possible to consider. Queen b6. So somewhere black are ready to play knight c4 and take on b2. Okay, not now of course, because bishop takes c4 and knight takes c2. c4. This. Knight d5. Rook c1. Rook d8. So black just keep in position and preparing knight c6. Rook d8, idea to defend pawn d6. Knight h4. It's so obvious choice. Difficult to say. Maybe bishop f1, it's more or less obvious choice. Idea to play e4 and bishop f1 is not allow knight f4 with stamp. So bishop f1 looks like normal move if it is knight g5 also possible to consider transfer knight to e4. Okay, but I like bishop f1, I don't know why. So knight h4, it's a little bit strange for me. f5. Bishop b1, another strange move. So I don't know why, but I prefer to have bishop on f1 or somewhere on diagonal a6 f1. So bishop rook e1, so white left c line, so very strange play, and knight f. So this series of move, it's extremely strange play by Fedosseev. So maneuvers with bishop, knight h4, knight f3, rook e1, rook c1, so it's very strange. But okay, white has position enough solid, so not to be totally bad after such a strange play. Anyway, white totally lost initiative, only black now can pretend for something. But okay, white still have solid position, so black is dreaming to penetrate with knight on c3 in some variation. And Rapport decide played for a win, so rook d7 he could repeat moves, but he is playing. Yes, something like this, king g8, d3, g5. So knight c3 is possible, but after knight c3, I think white can play rook c2 to defend against knight e2 check, and in some moment a3 can be positional threat. So g5, knight on d5 is in good position to defend c7 square, knight b2. So Fedosseev prepared against knight c3 and knight a4 needed to win, but okay, so anyway he will play tiebreak tomorrow. So okay, of course, more pleasant to win, but he still have chances. King e7, rook e1, queen a8. Creative play, and now white can consider queen b5, of course, and take on a5. But in that case, rook b8 is possible, and rook a8, and then take with rook. So this position looks like good for black. So this take and a4. So Fedosseev is blocking a line. After b takes a3, of course, I think he didn't plan knight takes a3, but rook a1 was his plan. This idea to take with rook. Knight f6. Rook c4. Rook b1, d5. So knight takes a5 is dangerous, very dangerous, because after rook c7, it's white knight is crying. So knight e5 first. Rook c3, maybe rook c2 immediately was possible. I don't know why rook c3. It looks like dangerous for white, but Fedosseev survived. Knight d2. So He even lost the pawn, but white is draw. Difficult to understand something, frankly speaking. Maybe after king f5, why not king f5, for example? King e2 probably. King e4, knight f2 is possible, so king g4. Knight c5, white has contraplay. What is this? Knight a1, knight c. Okay, it's something strange. Difficult to understand something here. Looks like very dangerous for white. So, but knight f4. Aha. So Rapport won this game, or what? Because I don't have text till the end. Okay, Rapport won. Okay, so he outplayed his opponent. Okay, understand. So I don't know who will win because I don't know full list of participants. And okay, so Hare Krishna, what happened? This like okay, who will qualify? So okay, when we will have all qualifiers, I will tell my prediction. But if there are two tie breaks, it's difficult. Castle. This is theoretical line. So I remember Giri played something like this with black, but maybe bishop d7 he played instead of rook b8. But maybe bishop rook b8, I don't remember. So, but this position is not new. And so nothing special. Looks like slightly better for white after h3, for example, because bishop is a little bit stronger than knight, but nothing special. Rook f6 and queen e6 draw. It's difficult one. Pawn a4 is hanging and white. And also queen d3 is unpleasant threat. If, for example, queen d3, for example, this, if rook b2, knight e4, d2 is coming. So rook f6 and queen e6. Perpetual check. Okay, strange game. Probably it worth for deeper analyze, but okay, I will leave it because it's a little bit too late for me. So Oparin Wojtaszek, funny position. So e3, knight f6. So this is Blumenfeld gambit without tempi. I mean, it means that after d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, c5, d5, b5, white just not playing any move. Funny position. So after e3, knight f6, of course, there are other. Okay, after b4, bishop g4 is very interesting line. f6 is very interesting line. So black has choice. After c5, instead of e3, white can play also g3 to play Volga gambit with extra tempo. But okay, e3, knight f6, and in this position, Blumenfeld with extra tempo. Okay, white has choice. Bishop b2 looks very logical. This idea if takes, to play d4 and then bishop d3, castle, something like this. b5 he played. I don't know if it's the most principal continuation. So at least here black has total compensation. And remember variation from Petrosian system in India, I mean this line. Not bishop b7, c5 firstly, d5, e takes d5, c takes d5, bishop d7 now. Okay, g6 is main move according to theory, and then bishop g7. But if bishop b7, e4, queen e7, bishop d3. Knight takes d5, castle, knight c7, knight c3, and white has excellent, more than enough compensation for the sacrificed pawn. Now type of position is very similar. Only difference that black has nobody plays queen a4 instead of queen c2. Queen a4 instead of queen c2, but queen a4. I didn't see queen a4. Queen c2 is main move. Queen b3 also. Queen b3 also. Shirov played against Karpov, but queen a4. Okay, maybe this is possible, but I don't remember such games in highest level. What is idea after c5, for example? If d5, black can take and play b5 with tempo, for example. So, okay. G3, bishop g2, it's another story. Okay. Also, there are ideas with c5, d5, but so knight c2. Black has no square c6 for the knight, but has another ideas. Knight d7, very logical. Knight c5, bishop e6, e4. Quite standard play for modern chess. Knight d5, knight takes d5, bishop d7. So similar ideas also exists in this gambit, Vaganyan gambit. Bishop c5, same style of compensation. Okay, so let's come back to Oparin. Where is Wojtaszek Oparin? It was Rapport. Okay, so bishop e6, e4, rook a e8, bishop d4, b6, knight c4. If not played knight c4, black can consider idea bishop e5. For example, after bishop e2, this looks like logical. Exchange this bishop and then probably f5, f4. But black has compensation. So knight c4. White wants to attack black bishop. The bishop takes b5, knight takes d6. So knight d3, knight e3, queen d8. Black not allow castle immediately because queen h4, double attack. So g3. It looks dangerous for white anyway. For example, he play rook a4. Why not f5, for example? Black wants f4. If white plays f4, bishop takes f4 is possible. After this, queen h4 check, king f1, queen takes f4 check, and then you take the bishop. So it looks. This position looks like very bad for white, frankly speaking. Or very dangerous, okay. Very dangerous. Because all black pieces placed very well, and plan is very direct. F4. What white should do, it's big mystery for me. But he played this. F5 also looks tempting, but now, okay, now queen b3, at least black has some tactical problems with his rook. So after f4, queen takes d3 with tempy. It's possible somehow. Okay, also necessary to check, for example, f4, queen takes d3, this, for example, or take on d2, take on rook f2. So black has many possibilities, but okay, it's not always easy to play if there are so many good moves. After f5, I think practically more simple because all pieces, all black pieces are very well defended. So now black, white. So very creative play for Grigori. So risky, but okay, he's playing risky because of very bad tournament situation also. So he has nothing to lost, especially so in such a tournament situation. So -2 or -3, so it's not so big difference probably. But okay, so now white has reasonable contraplay, and bishop, queen b3, rook b4, d4. So very original game, yes, I agree. But objectively, I think in some moment white was quite bad. So they agreed to draw, and is it the last game for today, right? Or I missed something. So Hare Krishna, I think that yes. Kamer, Shirov. Yes, it looks like I did all of the game from today. Okay, so for me it's time to sleep. For you, okay, it depends in which part of world you are now. So I wish you good night or good day or good mood to be healthy and love a chess. And see you next time. Bye.